Well, here we are back again from a long summer hiatus while I was doing some, I'm going to say, renovations to my podcast. So now I'm going to read for you my new opening. I hope everybody's having a fabulous summer. But I want to welcome you to Your Stories Matter, a Joy on Life's Journey podcast, where every story is a seed of inspiration for your life's abundant garden. I'm your host, Marvin Netta Penn, and each week we dive into personal stories of growth, resilience, and of course, a lot of joy. And I invite you to take the next step on your own journey. And life is not about going in a straight line, but sometimes it's about veering off just because your heart says go left, or just because your heart says go right, because the heart knows. And if we ignore the heart, guess what? We wind up going in that straight direction, and then we wind up on a hamster wheel going around and around and around. So find some joy, seek some adventure that will encourage you to grow, lean on your resiliency, and always practice joy. So by doing that, we're also going to joy and we're also going to grow our Joy on the Journey community. Yes, I hope you like my new intro. So I am so excited to be back, and I'm so excited to introduce to you my guest, my first guest. She came to me by way of the OLLI program at Western Michigan University. We had a mutual friend, Miss Tony Woolfork, and I says, I need somebody to talk about AI. She says, I have the perfect person. Not only does she work at the university, not only is she knowledgeable about this subject, but she is very interesting. So we're going to take a deep dive into her story, into her journey, and I'd like to present to you Miss Anezka. And she's going to tell you the rest because she has a long name that I might not get right. And I don't like getting people's names wrong. So, Anezka, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Yeah. Oh, that was nothing.
Oh, there was nothing. Okay. Sorry. So thank you for the regular introduction.
Because when people hear your story, they're going to be like, whoa, what a young lady. What a story. So,
Thanks.
how are you enjoying your summer?
Pretty good. It just rained on the way to the studio, so that was a little surprising. I don't generally carry an umbrella in the summer, but silly me. Maybe I'll change that.
Oh, God. You know, I was still at the house and I saw a flash come up on my phone. Rain expected soon. No, it said rain expected at 4. And my intention was to leave the house at 4:15 because I needed to make a stop before I got here. No, it was pouring down. And the rain comes so quickly here in Kalamazoo. It's like whoosh. And then it's all dry.
Yep.
And everything is cool again. So
Yep.
I do understand. But other than that,
Other
things are
than
good.
that, pretty good. Yeah, I just came back from a conference in Europe that was very enjoyable. It was on the topics of artificial intelligence, among other topics. So we maybe will go into that as well.
Yes.
And it was great. So
We're in Europe.
the conference was in Copenhagen in Denmark.
I love Copenhagen.
It's amazing.
Ah,
It's amazing.
I want to travel again so bad. I know it's going to happen, and I just have to be patient. Be patient. So, where do you want to begin? Because for those of you who don't know, after Tony recommended Anezka, I said, okay, I'm going to introduce myself to her over email and pray that she will have coffee with me. After we had coffee for about 2 hours, a conversation, and then I had to pray again that I did not turn her off with all of my questions. And I reached out. I said, Anezka, do you want to do the podcast? She's like, yes. Oh, my heart started singing.
Yeah. No,
So-
that was a very enjoyable coffee. And yeah, we definitely talked a lot. I talked a lot. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, where do you want to start? Where are you from? Well, give me your whole name.
My whole name. So my
Yes.
whole name is Anezka Viskova-Robertson. The first two parts are Czech, very Czech, and then the last part is I took that from my American husband. So
Okay.
so that's my full name. It's hyphenated. There's a funny story about the hyphen.
Tell me about
So-
that. Let's start there.
So in Czech Republic, names are not typically hyphenated, and I didn't know that. I got married. I was 25, and you think you know a lot, you know nothing, and so you know some stuff, but you're just learning. And I went to get my new passport with my new name, and I went to the consulate and I said, "This is my new name," and they were like, "Yeah, we can't put it on though." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you need an exception to have that hyphen in your name." And so I filed for the exception, and now I am officially hyphenated, even in the Czech books for it. But I couldn't get my passport at first, so
Because you had a hyphen?
yeah.
You wanted to keep your last name. You wanted.
I wanted to keep my maiden name.
Your
I felt
maiden
like it's a tribute to my father's family. I
I
wanted to
felt the
keep it.
same way. Oh my gosh.
I
I
wanted to
was going to
keep
take
it.
my husband's name when I got married. Excuse me. And then my father came up for the wedding, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
You're giving me away,
Mhm.
technically, but you're not. I will
Yeah.
always be a Woodley. My name is
Mhm.
Woodley Penn
Mhm.
because I'm like, what if the rest of my siblings pass on and it's just me?
Yes.
So I get it.
Yeah. No. Totally. So
And
yeah.
you were the first to do that?
I believe there are others, but they probably also had to file for an exception, and I just didn't know. I just thought that that's like a normal thing people do, and it's apparently not. So, but now it's my full name. It's hyphenated, and only later I learned that on the federal level, America does not need the hyphen. It doesn't recognize it. So booking plane tickets is real fun. Because my name can be used very many different ways.
Mine also. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Because sometimes it's under Woodley, sometimes it's
Mhm.
under Penn,
Mhm.
sometimes it's under Woodley Penn, and
Yes.
sometimes it is squish it all together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you ladies out there thinking about getting
Yes.
married, just understand from the beginning that if you do go with a hyphenated name, there might be a few delays
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
processes.
Yes.
But it's worth it.
Yes, it is. It
Very much
is.
so.
Yeah.
So, from the Czech Republic.
I am originally from the Czech Republic. I have moved to Michigan 9 years ago now. And I moved here because as a student, I went to study abroad in Germany. And we lived in student dorms, right? That's just like what you do. And in one of the dorms, well, in the dorm where I lived, my husband lived there too as a student coming from Western Michigan University. And those of you who can see me on video, he introduced himself to me as like showing that he's from here, and I was like, I have no idea what you're
With the
doing.
hand?
With the hand. So Michiganders use a hand to show the shape of the state, and then they point where they live. And I was like, it's very nice to meet you.
The hand.
The
I
hand.
guess I should hold up my hand.
Yes, exactly. I was like, thank you, very nice to meet you. So anyway, we became really good friends. We spent a lot of time together, and then towards the end of the program, we started dating, and then we had a year of long distance relationship, and that was really tough. So anybody who's going through that, I feel you. And I kind of refer to it. It's a little melodramatic, but it was one of the hardest years of my life because you want to be with a person, and the time difference. There was a 6-hour time difference, right? So you get to only spend some time with them, and most of it is just virtual. So we visited a little bit, kind of back and forth, but it doesn't replace like being on the same continent with the person. So when I finished my studies in the Czech Republic, we kind of made a very quick and somewhat naive decision to be on one continent together, and that continent should be America because I already spoke English and my husband didn't speak any Czech. And that was the whole decision making that we made at that point. I would not recommend it because there was a whole domino effect that followed, obviously. But when you're 24, 25, like you're just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And we did.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend it.
What was the main downside?
The downside? I think from my perspective, I definitely underestimated the different differences. Well, cultural first. America is a different culture than
Yes.
Czech Republic. That's one. But what hit me first, because it takes a little bit of time to understand like people's cultures and communication,
Mhm.
because Americans are generally quite polite and positive. Like when you first meet them, at least that was my experience. It takes a little bit of time until you learn to read between the lines. So the first thing that hit me was just the reliance on cars, the car culture,
The cars.
and
Okay. Okay. Because what is the is it a bike culture where
you
you
can bike.
walk
There's
or
public
walking?
transportation,
Okay.
walking,
Okay.
and generally there's way more independence. So as a young person, teenager, you are independent. You can take a bus, you can take a train, you can visit your friends. My brother, who is now a teenager, he takes trains to visit his friends on the weekend, and he doesn't need his parents to drive him, right? So that hit me that I was all of a sudden very dependent on a car. We had one car in our household. My
Yes.
husband was working at the time. He was also finishing his degree, so we had to like share it. We lived in somewhat of a remote-ish area.
Mhm.
Well, not really. We just lived on the outskirts of Kalamazoo. For me, it felt very remote. And
Well, Kalamazoo is a small
well,
little
Kalamazoo,
town,
it's a small
especially
town.
compared.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the transportation just isn't the same. And
Yeah.
so that was the first like big difference. I was like, oh, wait a minute, people connect very differently here. And when you hang out with people, you hang out in their houses. You don't just have a meetup in a public space necessarily.
Okay.
People, it felt to me like people don't feel so comfortable in public spaces either. I don't think it would have gone well if I met somebody, let's say, I don't know, through a hobby, or like a crafting, I don't know, day or whatever. You meet a
Yes. Yes.
stranger and you want to meet with them later, and you say, yeah, let's just like go meet at Bronson Park.
Yeah.
I don't think people would have felt very comfortable about it, right? They would
Yeah.
have
I
been.
get it.
So, and then there was like, and this is where the communication issues started to kick in a little bit, because people were like, oh my gosh, like, let's grab dinner, like sometimes. And I took those invitations very literally, right? I didn't know that those are just like polite, like conversations. And I was like, absolutely, like, when do you have time?
When? Let's make the plan. I do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not, yeah. I
And
get it.
sometimes it's not well received, right? So just a learning curve with that. And I would say that it took me at least 2 years to at least become somewhat functional in this type of environment, right? Because the way you learn to read people, I know that during our coffee discussion we
Yes.
discussed my like my first like work
And
experiences.
indeed. And can you share that?
Yeah, I can.
Because I think it's so important for
Yeah.
insiders to understand an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
And that's a part of being a mature adult, is to be
Yes.
able to see life from different perspectives. And that's not something that Americans are good at.
Yeah.
I can say that because I've traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And that is the first thing I hear is the ugly American, always looking at most things from the American perspective.
There's just not the if you're not exposed to anything else, how would you know?
Then get exposure.
That is true.
It's
I don't.
not
I'm
that
not saying.
expensive.
Yeah, I'm not saying it as an excuse, but
Yeah.
more like it helps us outsiders understand why
Yeah.
some things are this way. So, one of my first work experiences here in America was to work in a financial institution, and I entered it very naively without having the proper understanding of communication and workplace communication. In my culture, things are pretty direct, and you know pretty quickly if you're doing something wrong, something right, if somebody is on the same page with you or not, and here specifically in the Midwest, if you're not used to the little nuances, you feel like you're doing everything right because such a good idea. Oh my gosh, like how did you think of that? Or wow, okay, show me more. And you don't know that these are a little bit of prompting questions or probing questions. You just don't know. And so I entered that workspace with the hope that I would be like the best worker they ever had. And especially like foreign worker, I need to represent. I have a green card. They don't have a lot of experience with employing people with green cards. So I was like, I'm gonna do this right. I was ready.
Yes. I'll be the
Yeah.
sacrificial lamb. Let me go
I-
and I'm gonna set the pace for everybody else. That
I was
comes
like,
after.
yeah, like I
Yes.
can't, like this is important. Like
conqueror,
I
yes.
am here to do this. And I'm gonna jump ahead. This work did not work out, and I was a poor fit. I was a poor fit culturally, and I actually did not have the skills.
Which skills?
I did not have the skills to operate in an American financial institution.
Okay.
Like quickly handling cash, quickly counting money, having the polite but actually shallow conversations.
Ooh,
Sorry, is that
that's
rude?
polite but shallow conversation.
You're not there to learn people's lives. You're there to just accommodate and make them feel comfortable, right?
Yes,
So
for the moment.
for the moment, it's that. It's make them feel safe, comfortable, do the service and let them go. And I was not familiar with that, and I wanted to truly know, like, oh, like you said your dog is sick. Like, tell me more about it, right? And then I would be listening. I would forget like how much I'm counting.
Okay.
Then for a foreigner, I don't know if anybody is listening and has a second language or primary language that's not English. When you're counting, numbers for me were really easy to switch to my own native language.
Oh, yeah.
And then back to
my
English.
God. Yeah.
And so I did not have a habit that I would stick to, and I would be switching back and forth. Which, honestly, in an environment that is highly repetitive, you want to not have that. You want to be very regimented. You want to have one way and keep doing it that way. It created make it a habit, and that will help you eliminate mistakes.
Yes.
There's still plenty of room for mistakes later, but I would say that there was a thing that I just did not have the skill. I did not have the understanding, and I was making mistakes.
Okay.
And so then there comes the performance review, which was introduced to me as we want to help you fix this and we want to make it better. I didn't know that performance review is also a code for you might not be a good fit for this place. And it is. And in the current system, in the way things work here, I respect that. This is how you make sure that people stick to the places where they're supposed to stick to, and the thing functions, right? So I took them for what was introduced to me, and it truly it broke my heart because it was I didn't know what was actually being said, and so I just followed just like one more training, or like tell me how it went. And to this, I would share both the successes and the failures.
Yes.
I would be very open book.
Yes.
I would share everything, which on paper, and I'm sure there are managers that are listening right now, it's like, I would love if somebody would do that. Now think twice about it. Would you really? And then how would you treat that person? Yeah. Right? Like and so I kind of learned that there are things that you don't share right away, that there are things that you try to first like figure out on your own, there are things that you don't point out to. So all of these like underlying communication.
Unspoken rules. Yeah, rules of the game that nobody really teaches you unless you're brought up in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how would that have been handled in your country?
I think you would very quickly know that you don't fit there or that you're messing something up. I think the biggest shock came to me, and this is not anything against the financial institution. Indeed. They're doing great. Yes. They have their own way of doing business.
Indeed.
But it came as a shock. I truly did not expect that thing. The morning that I walked in, that day I would be let go. I did not expect that. To me, it came out of nowhere. And it's only later on when I gained my MBA and studied all these things that I know that there were breadcrumbs from the get-go. I just didn't have the lens for them. I didn't have the right understanding of what was happening. But it happened. It made me go get my MBA because I realized that I need to survive in this country.
And I am going to face this challenge. I'm going to redirect my mind. I'm going to redirect my energy. I will pick resilience, is what we talked about.
Yeah.
It will not knock me. It might not take me aback. Make, ooh, this, oh,
Yeah.
pick myself up and go in another direction.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well,
So after that, you went back to school.
I went back to school.
Okay.
And so after about 2-ish years of living here, I ended up back in the academic environment, which I wasn't planning on to.
Yes.
But I realized that actually I can navigate it. I don't feel like there's a landmine everywhere. I feel like I can talk to people the way it's comfortable to me, and I kind of found my environment where I can navigate, because
Okay.
until then America and the Midwest felt like I'm always running into walls. Like I don't understand people. Like you said, I wasn't kind of brought up in it.
Right.
And so everything felt like I was second guessing it. Like, what is happening? Like, what are people actually telling me? And my
Indeed.
husband was a good guide in that, but he's not with me every day, all the time.
And step by step, the
Yeah.
little things,
Yes.
little things, then people just think, oh, like, you just take it for granted. When I'm in Paris, when I'm in France,
Mhm.
and I speak a little French, but there's so many subtleties
Mhm.
from just how you act in public
Mhm.
on public transportation
Mhm.
and looking at people. When I was in Asia, it
Mhm.
was like you don't look at. I'm used to just
Yeah.
looking while we talk, but that's
Yeah.
considered rude.
Yes.
So the unspoken cultural
Yes.
mores you don't always get. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's, and honestly with the looking, it's, I think in Czech Republic you guys would here describe it as staring. We don't, it's not staring, it's just like, checking things out, like being like, oh, like these shoes, like show me those shoes, let's, like I'm interested, or I'm judging, like let's be honest, people are not just like nice all the time, but
Uh-huh.
but people look way more, there's way more visual contact.
Ooh.
It's also a bit more traditional country, so there's not a bit more of that when it comes to like the gender roles and how like men look at women and women look at men. But when you grow up in
Tell
that,
me more about that.
it is. So I have a story about
Okay.
it.
Yes.
Um,
Love the stories.
um, I I visited my country back. I don't know. Maybe I was here like 2-3 years living here, and I went back, and those were like the early years. And every time I visited, it's like it truly felt like coming home, because I could navigate the environment, everything made sense. I could understand everything, the verbal, the nonverbal, the transport, like I could navigate it with ease, and it felt like home. It was really nice. I'm sad to say that that feeling kind of goes away the longer you live abroad, but that's just normal. I think that that's just what it is. But those initial years, that truly was that. And I was back in the city where I went to high school and college, and I wanted to go to see like a theater play or something
Okay,
like that. I just
uh-huh.
wanted to feel a little cultured. And I saw a name on, and it was a brother of my high school friend. He wrote a play, and I was like, okay, like he was a talented person. I want to go see this. Now, this was something about the French um, political situation in like the 60s and or 50s and 60s, and I thought it was going to be a comedy. It was anything but a comedy. It was very heavy. It doesn't matter. It was very well done. It was like this small theater space, so you were like seeing the actors going through this like emotional like journeys.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Anyway, I love the theater. It was a beautiful sunny day still on the outside, right? And I'm leaving what I thought was going to be a comedy, and I just got this like a load of information out of it. I'm just kind of like staring. And there's a gentleman, and he's kind of like, looking at me because I'm a girl wearing a summer dress and just
Yes,
like walking down like
indeed.
the center of the square.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if I was listening to music or if I was just like so out of it, but like he said something and I was just like, yeah, like whatever. And then he kind of starts walking by me. And I don't want to say that this is like a normal behavior, but it's like you see it and you're like, okay, whatever. Like, so I kind of started paying attention to him, and he was like asking me like if I want to go grab a glass of wine with him or something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
And like I clearly was not in the headspace to like even.
Yeah.
And so as we're walking, we are, because it's like the center of the city, there are like different bars and pubs, and some people are like sitting, standing outside. It's very like people are just everywhere.
I love that. I love that about. Oh,
And there's like these three guys
girls and-
that are like
Uh-huh.
having their like, I guess, I don't know, after work beer or whatever, and they're chatting to each other. And one of them like he like I catch his eye or he catches mine, and we kind of like make eye contact, and he like looks at the dude next to me, and in the nonverbal communication, it's kind of like, "Are you okay? Do you need my help?" I'm kind of like, I kind of like these three guys, like they put their beers down, they start walking towards me to help, and then that guy just like disappears away. No words are said. These guys just like nod at me, they go back to their beer, and I just continue on my merry way. So this is kind of like, it goes both ways, right? When things are like a little bit more, I would say, I don't know, is it more traditional or
It's
what?
community.
It's community.
To me, it's community. And I grew up with that kind of community.
Yeah.
Where women were respected, but guys were forward and they would try.
Yeah.
When I was in Europe, a guy would especially when I was in Italy. Oh my God!
Yes.
I'm like, I don't speak it. I don't speak Italian. Oh, that. I was like, oh. But
yeah.
But when I was growing up, people would look at you. You give them a look. And they would know if this is cool or if it's not cool. But it was community because people were more engaged. Now people are on their phones.
Yeah.
They're distracted. They're isolated.
It's
but
different.
that is very different. And I really wish we could get back to that.
Yeah.
I had a conversation last night with some people about how we grew up. That's so different from
I do wish that, but I will say that, and this might be quite controversial, but
I love controversy.
Well, I will say that as a woman living in America, foreign woman, but a white woman living in America, I feel like I have a little bit more stronger standing and a bit more power over how I'm being talked to, how I get to respond, how I'm being accepted or respected. Now, is it perfect? No, it's perfect nowhere. But I would say that women here have, in certain senses, stronger position than in what I would call slightly more traditional countries when it comes to certain expectations and related judgments. For example, how quickly do you start family? How quickly, and there's nothing wrong with either or, and that's kind of the point. Yeah. But in more free culture or culture that, for better or worse, celebrates individualism, you get to do what you want, and you're kind of being left alone about it. And yes, there are people that judge you, but sometimes they're even being judged for judging you.
That was a fight. That was a fight that women in this country had to go through. It was a tough fight. And this is a recent thing. And some of the rights are being rolled back. Yep. And women have to be conscious. And there's so many women who are willing to just accede their rights, just give up their rights.
The point is the choice. That's the point.
But our choices are being taken away. The most fundamental choice.
Yeah. You do what
is
you
being
want to.
taken away, has been taken away for many women. And there are people who have agendas to strip women of even more rights. Yeah. I just read this book. I just finished this book called Lessons in Chemistry. Did you read it?
I've heard about it. It's on my to read list.
My gosh.
Yeah. Is it good?
Wonderful, wonderful. I got it and I started reading. I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea what the book was about. I hadn't had any discussions. And I understand there's a movie about it. And I haven't seen a movie based on the book. I've not heard nothing about either one. Because I'm in my own little booth of life so much. And I got the book, started reading it, could not put it down. And it speaks to what we're talking about and how women have to stay vigilant and learn.
It's all of us. It truly is all of us.
It is. It is.
But yeah, I mean, we might bear the brunt of it now, but in few generations, it's all of us.
And you're right. The women in America, if you think about it from a global perspective, we have so many more freedoms in certain ways. It's difficult to compare apples to oranges, but we do have, and I'm measured in the way that I say this
Mhm.
because other women in other countries might not think that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to be respectful
Yeah.
of everybody. It's different here.
Yeah.
It's different. We're able to sit across a table and have this conversation now, and in certain countries you could not.
Exactly.
So I like to look at,
Yeah.
compare apples to apples.
I often talk
without
about
judging.
this with my friends
Yeah.
from the academic environment, with my
Mhm.
female friends,
Mhm.
and we joke about it. But yeah, us having to have study groups together and library days together and hanging out and doing research together, we're so grateful. We are so grateful because we know that that's somewhat of a modern invention, that we get to do this, that women from different countries get to come together and be like, I like what you're doing. I like what you're
Yeah.
researching. Let's do that together. And we don't have to have a permission slip from our, male relatives. It's wonderful. It truly is.
It is truly wonderful. And so these stories need to be told.
Yeah.
They need to be disseminated to more women to empower them to say, oh, wow, really? I had no idea. So people looking at this podcast, and you see how we talked about not making so many faces. And here I am already. I've made 1,000 faces. My face is like Play-Doh. It just goes everywhere. But that's okay because I get excited.
Yeah.
So how do we segue to the next point? You got to university and you started studying.
Yes.
And what were you studying?
So I started on working on my MBA, and
Okay.
it was very that was so eye-opening because it's a degree in business administration, and it shows you the picture perfect ways that businesses would like to be run or be seen or marketed or whatnot. And so you listen to it and you're like, oh, this is what we're doing it all for. So things function. And so my parents were not working in the corporate world. They are more. My mother is an architect. My dad was a photographer, and he was very close to like the academic environment as well, teaching a lot, doing photography. My mom kind of like a freelancer, but also like working for different cities as a city architect and stuff like that. So more of like an art type of world.
Yeah.
Definitely not a corporate mindset. If you and also, I mean, before the 1989, before the Velvet Revolution, there was no corporate. There was communism. So that was like a whole other thing. So I came here and I had no true tangible understanding of what corporate America means. The most I knew about it was literally from movies, where it's always kind of like a joke when people just like they are in their cubicles, they work on their phone and they're mad about something and they print stuff, like they have their badge. That was like my vision of corporate America. I had no idea.
Awesome.
And so studying it, like it helped me understand. It helped me understand their communication. It helped me understand what a performance review is. It helped me understand where I was falling short and where even when you believe you're doing your best, why that's not enough. Because it does not fit a system. So it's not about you, it's about where you're trying to apply it. And that was kind of a big understanding and didn't happen overnight. I would say it barely happened at the end when I actually earned my degree, but the whole knowledge and me, I also worked at the university as a teaching assistant, so yeah, just being exposed to that.
Being in that environment where you can ask questions, where you can think through things with other people, you can bounce things off the professor, where
safe.
it's not just you just being told, given directive. But that's one thing I love about university.
Yes.
Now, I was not as engaged. I was not as probing when I was in college because I'm from an all black city. And when I went to this predominantly white school, it was like going from one country to another country. And I had to learn what you're talking about, the unspoken rules. And it was a huge learning gap, but I managed it. Then when I did get comfortable enough, I was like, oh my God, you can understand the inner workings of so many things. And even just by paying attention,
Yeah.
not necessarily engaging, but just by being mentally
Mhm.
engaged and challenging yourself. So, yes, but we could have this conversation for part 3, 4. You got into AI,
Yes.
but the global part, was that pre-AI
Oh, that's a
or
good question.
post AI, or did they come together,
So
converge?
they kind of came together. So COVID happened, right?
Yes.
COVID is happening, and we have 2020,
Yes.
and we just got our house here in Kalamazoo,
Okay.
and that kind of like shaped the next steps for me and for us with my husband. And knowing that I did enjoy the academic environment, and I am now done with my degree. I have my first job post degree. I work at a local company, and I can now navigate it better.
Okay.
And so, but now
What was that job?
It was a company that creates software. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, and I was like on a lower level, like kind of a support type of person, managing client accounts and stuff like that. It was okay.
But not dealing with money.
No, dealing
Not
with
counting
money.
money.
No, I was not counting money. That
Okay.
is, I honestly, because I tried it, I admire everybody who can do that, and like it's nobody's business. Like my attention really doesn't go there. But
And with the technology now, a lot of them don't even have to count money.
I'm very happy for them. I'm very happy.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but-
I didn't mean to deviate.
So I started to see certain dysfunctions. I was like, how can things be implemented and fail, yet there is no consequences? Or if there's a consequence, it actually is not like detrimental to the business. I started to be curious.
Yeah.
And there is a program at Western, and it's called Organizational Change Leadership, and they opened a doctorate, and I applied and I got in, and so I started to study organizational change leadership under Dr. David Zabla. Shout out to Dr. David Zabla, who started it. It's a really good program, and it looks at a lot of things quite theoretically and from a humanities kind of perspective and
Love the
education.
humanities, yes.
For
Shout out
me,
for the humanities, yes.
that's amazing. So for me, that was like the first introduction to humanities really since high school,
Mhm.
because my original education is in geology, so in science.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then the MBA is kind of business,
Yes.
and now all the way back to humanities. So here I am, being like, but you have to like measure it, and then all of these theories are like, and then the attitude and the dynamic, and I'm like, what is happening? And so, long story short, this is how I ended up with AI, because I was looking for a research topic, right? You, as a doctorate student,
Yes. Yes.
you need to find your direction.
Yes.
And I was looking for something that can meet both the, let's say, the more technical and number driven approach to like the humanities driven. And so I was like, all right, so my interest it is in when you integrate something new, how do you do it so it's like accepted and like functions well? And what is the newest thing that's coming up and in technology? And I was like looking, and then it just came out to be AI. So I like to say that I started studying AI before it was cool.
Because you were so curious.
Because I was curious, and
Curiosity
it was just the
is
newest
one of
thing.
my core values.
Oh, good.
So, guys out there, get curious
Yeah.
and go down a rabbit hole. You'd be surprised what you might find. So, you found AI before anybody else.
Well, no, not
Well,
like
not
that. Not
anybody
like
else,
that.
because it had to be somebody had to think
Yeah.
about it. But before it became AI,
Yeah.
I was in Dubai in
Mhm.
1997. And I always say, I was in Dubai before it became Dubai.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I didn't start that much early, but a year before generative AI exploded,
Okay.
that's when I started to like include it in my literature reviews and researches, and so that's kind of how I came to AI. The global component. So I after that software company, knowing that I would be starting a doctorate program, I knew that I want to gear my day job that's going to support me towards something that I can handle that is going to do a good service to the place where I'm going to be working, but also is going to allow me enough brain space after work so I can focus on my studies. And so I ended up working at our medical school, and it was amazing. I love that team to this day. I miss them. They're amazing. And from there, I got somewhat poached back to Western to work in the international office. And in the international office, they were just re- rethinking a program called the Global Engagement Program. And so I was put in charge of that. So that's where the global part comes in. So
And how is that program going now?
it's still going, it's going strong.
One, it has not been impacted by the current administration.
So actually, we have a motto, if you will, that global engagement is for all. We don't make a difference if it's wherever you're from. It's for you too, because to be a global citizen, you actually don't have to leave Kalamazoo, at least not until you're ready, because the world is around you. These chairs, these microphones,
Ooh,
these lights, the things, the inventions that you're using, where they were produced, who came up with them, all around the world.
all around the world.
And so
Yes.
that's the idea behind the global engagement program, that you can start where you are, and when you're ready, you can go visit the world, but you can also start seeing it and meeting it where you are.
Great. Oh, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, the
Yes.
program is going strong,
Wonderful.
and it is, in the way we like to call it in those circles, is that it's bringing internationalizations to campus and beyond. And so that's what it's doing. So yeah, it's I'm happy to report that it's going strong, and it's a really good program. I'm so proud of it. And yeah, it's great.
Are you familiar with Global Ties?
Yes,
Television?
yes.
I just hosted people from 4 different countries.
Oh, like
Sunday.
they're visitors?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're from Saudi Arabia, Palestine, Jordan, and Algeria.
Wow.
And the people from Palestine gave me this key, and I
Okay.
wanted to. I've been wearing it because it's from the people who have homes, who had homes,
Mhm.
and they keep the keys even if the homes are no longer there. They were expelled from the homes, but they kept the keys.
Is that a
And
tradition?
this is a tradition, and they gave me this as a gift at the end of the hosting. It
Mm.
was it was incredible. It's just magic, and so
Yes.
that global component, I just wish for everyone, as you said, even if you can't physically get up and go to another country because of the technology that we have through reading, through movies, through so many venues, so many portals.
Yeah.
Even getting to know somebody, having a conversation with somebody else, you get a glimpse into somebody else's perspective and culture, and
Yeah.
it's so important.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, and we're trying to show that to students, to young Americans,
Yes.
And international students who come to visit, because an American passport is still a very strong passport, and so many students don't even know what's in their pocket. And then there's, I call the concept like to be the adult in a room. We are the adults in a room, and it's our job to tell them.
It is.
So that was the whole idea
Yes,
behind it. So yeah, but I can go back to the AI journey.
Go back to the AI.
because-
We only have 15 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God. AI.
Yes.
And I have so many questions.
Okay, go ahead.
So many, so you went from getting your that was your doctoral thesis,
Mhm.
and then you started working. I understand you've written papers, you
Yes.
just presented at a conference in Europe. You're just such an amazing young lady. Oh my gosh. You know what? I would love to have you organize a discussion
Oh yeah.
that we could host in the big room here.
Yeah.
We could have several women come together. We might have and do a panel discussion, some presentations and a panel discussion, have people come, do
Yeah.
refreshments, and just have a conversation. Because people need to know. I'm done. Tell me.
No, this is great. I'm honestly very curious about where other people are with artificial intelligence.
Afraid.
Afraid.
Afraid. I heard a conversation today about these professors who were saying that AI is going to destroy, it's going to make young minds less curious. It's dumbing them down. They're not using their imaginations because they're leaning on
Mhm.
AI to write their papers.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you think? How do you feel? What's your overview?
I think that not all is lost, and I
Yeah.
think there's always hope. So,
Great.
so to address this specific problem of like young people using curiosity, imagination, and all that.
Yes.
That did not start with AI. Let's be honest. That probably started a little bit earlier, but with AI, it's easy to pinpoint. And so, if we were to track the root cause of people, students not being, maybe not having the courage to write their own stuff, or maybe not having the how do you call it? Like they just don't want to do it because they don't have the motivation.
Right, and they're
Why don't
afraid.
you?
There's a fear because you think you're going to fail.
Mhm.
The standards are so high. You know, the teacher has this red pen. I taught English in high school. And you got your red pen, and the students get the pen. I thought
Yes.
I did a good job.
Yes.
And then they get knocked down.
Yeah.
So there's a fear, serious fear around writing. I'm sorry.
So I relate to this very closely. I was not a good student for the majority of my studies. I did not have good, no, absolutely not.
Not you.
I did not have good grades across the board. I had some like strengths, but I just did not have the best of grades. I didn't have terrible grades, but not a straight A person. And it wasn't until I came to the United States that I actually started to get decent grades. It's because the grading system here is so different.
Oh.
It's more about collecting points that then accumulate into a grade rather than being graded from what I was used to on being tested. Now you have a test and you're graded on that. And it's all of it is speaking to that there are specific type of learners, and a lot of our education systems are created to gear towards one type of learning. I actually see huge potential with artificial intelligence to finally being able to accommodate more types of learning, more types of understanding.
Yes, I think it's a huge advantage.
I see it as that too.
Yes.
And so back to the like, why are you afraid, and that's why you're not writing things yourself. Well, then we have that back to the concept of the adult in the room, the teacher, the mentor, the tutor, whatever. How can we fix that? How can we give you back the confidence that it's A, okay to fail, B, to have the discernment that what you're doing, you will not be perfect at when you start. And that is A, okay.
And that is not the way our schools teach.
No.
My grandsons feel that if they make a mistake on the paper, they need to toss that paper and start all over again. I'm like, no, scratch out. Scratch out.
Yes.
If you look at any serious writer, there were scratch outs everywhere and they wrote all in the edges.
Go ahead.
I'm done. No.
No, but I agree. AI is just magnifying, let's say, this particular part. Now, I will say that there is a phenomenon called cognitive offloading, and it is a real thing. It is people who have started using, I'm going to use ChatGPT, but there's many others that you can use. You can cognitively offload your decision making, your processing onto that, and you just trust it, and it does start changing your brain. It is a thing. And again, back to the adult in the room. Maybe you should start valuing your output even with mistakes. Maybe you should start having this like human-centered design as your priority rather than fast output or perfect output. Now, this
human-centered design.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
I just had to touch on that.
Yeah.
Human-centered. Go ahead.
Design. And so I think that that's actually a thing that we can see. Well, I was just in Copenhagen, and artificial intelligence, that was like part of the trip, but just visiting the city, it is human centered. It is made for the people first. People do have cars there. People can drive cars and there are roads for them, but there's also spaces for bikes. There's spaces for pedestrians.
Yes.
There's spaces for little communal areas where you can just sit on a bench.
Yes.
It's a very different way of living and thinking. I believe that most Americans, if they were just transplanted there, they would not feel comfortable because it might feel like way too close. But there definitely is an aspect. It is a human centered.
It really is. When I was there many years ago, went to a jazz concert
Mhm.
very quickly. Went to a jazz concert at night, like on a Friday
Mhm.
night. That Saturday afternoon, it was a family concert. Same band, family concert where they could bring young children still nursing,
Yeah.
and they would introduce them to the instruments,
Mhm.
have young people come up and feel the instruments,
Mhm.
play on the instruments. I'm like, what? This
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Family. It's all about community
Oh, yeah.
building. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and we can learn from these different principles that are being applied in other functional areas to how would we apply them for the AI area.
Yes.
It doesn't work 100%. It's not like a bulletproof a formula, but we have a lot of solutions in the world. We actually do have a lot of solutions for the problems we have. We're just not applying them. And you can point to very many problems that we have. There is a solution, a peaceful one, a solid one, a logical one. There are just other forces at be that are currently being like, well, we're gonna wait. We're not gonna do it.
It starts with personal responsibility. If
I think so.
if you know that your mind is being frayed,
Mhm.
then you've got to step away and do something else. If I know that I'm
Yeah.
gaining weight because I want to eat a cookie every day, then I got to stop eating the cookie.
Yeah, and understand why you don't want to eat that cookie. What is it?
What is it? What's the basis of yeah?
You know,
And you got to be curious about yourself and not just
Yeah.
accept what other people have told you about yourself.
and it's hard, and it doesn't happen right away. And I
It
think when I
doesn't.
was listening to these kind of advices when I was like 22, 23, it already made me feel like I was failing. I was like, all these people have it figured out. And then to anybody listening who's like younger, you can fail and you have time. And you just need
Yes.
to get it back up. That's it.
It-
That's
Resilience,
it.
like you said, you fell down on that first job,
Oh,
and
many.
it felt like whoa. But
Yeah.
you were like, no,
Yeah.
no, I can do this. I believe in myself, and
Yeah.
yes, you do have to believe in yourself. That no matter what,
Yeah.
you have a path. Each one of us was born with a path, and we're going to talk a little bit more about AI because I got
Yes.
some more time.
Yeah,
for
go
this.
ahead, go ahead.
So, what were some? Yesterday. I went to a conversation with the new president
Mhm.
of Western Michigan.
Yeah.
And I must say, I must be honest, I have not heard his entire spiel, but everything I heard him say was directed at the necessity for the university on focusing on turning out or graduating young people who could get jobs.
Yes, I believe in it so much.
I believe in that, but I'm also thinking about young people who are human centered also.
Yes, yeah.
And I didn't hear anything about that.
You know,
How do we get that balance? Or is it necessary? It is necessary.
Mm.
Anezka, I will never give up on the fact that we have got to become more community focused. We've got to see one another in each other. Go ahead.
I think that for people who already think like you,
Yes.
that's a given. I think that the issue is that how do you translate this exact idea to people who might not have, for who human centered sounds soft or
Mhm.
unproductive, because it's actually not. Human centered is quite productive and very functional, and so it's just about translating it to people in language that they understand.
And you have that power.
Well,
So how can we how can we further empower you? You said you looked at issues and then you wanted to come the humanities from the humanities integrated with the technology. So if that was a research question,
Mm,
how could we approach that?
so how can
Or is that even the question?
sorry, can you repeat that?
The issue is human-centered
Mhm.
systems.
Yes.
And
How can we empower that with technology?
And you said there are people who don't understand that concept,
Oh.
who don't operate with that concept being a focus.
Mm-hmm.
They're focused on the outcome, which is getting a job. But I've heard that with this book, Good to Great, you can train people to do just about any skill if they have certain principles, if they are curious, if they
Yes.
have integrity, if
Yeah.
they have imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So we call those soft skills.
Yes.
But those are human-centered skills. How can we integrate this drive for productivity and making sure everybody can get a job with
the thing? Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit to my research, and
Okay.
it was about how people feel. How is their well-being at work impacted by artificial intelligence?
Oh.
And one of the kind of interesting findings to me was that people who had the easiest time adopting artificial intelligence into their work, in this sense, it was generative AI, but they actually know it. No, it was more types of AI that just was enhancing their work. It was the people that were curious, that wanted to play, that wanted to experiment with it. And so, one of my recommendations at the end was that if an organization can make sure that there is room for people to do that, and it's not being penalized, it's not being, you're not going to get paid for this time, that it's being appreciated in one way or another. That would be good. And actually, at this conference, I talked to somebody who works at Microsoft, and we talked about this time for play, time for curiosity. And it sounds really, really nice. But that person shared with me that it's actually quite difficult to impose that onto people when they already feel like they're being overwhelmed by all their notifications on Teams and all of that. And so, first, we actually need to clean up our systems and redesign them so they're that just by telling people, yeah, you can play, like, I don't mind if you play. Well, you can't play if you're already being overwhelmed and you're borderline in survival mode of like, I just have to like stay afloat. And so it's about reimagining of what do we consider a success, what do we consider what would be the ideal outcome, how can we get to it, what is the timeline that we can get on, and just understanding the what do we actually want out of this, and how do we keep people in it, and do we want them, because if you don't want them in there, well, don't keep them in there. But if you want a person in a system, you need to make room for them with everything they need in it.
And what kind of world do we want to see?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the I guess going all the way back to that job that didn't work out.
Yeah.
I was being put in a place where I really didn't fit.
Uh-huh.
Right? If I knew that, even back then with my not great understanding of just how the work culture and everything is, I would have pushed to be in a system where I'm not welcomed.
And where you don't fit. You
Where you
said
don't fit.
where you just don't fit. I've had many jobs I didn't fit. I got fired from a few. I left a few relationships. Left them.
Yeah.
Why
would
got
you
fired
wanna be
from
there?
them. Why do you want to be there? But you get stuck.
Yes.
And we don't realize, we get so used to the stuckness that we don't realize when we're stuck. And I think AI can even help us get unstuck.
Yes.
It's about the way we use anything.
Yes.
It's a tool.
It's a tool, 100%. It's a tool, and just use it responsibly. And the moment you start, because for me, AI can help me with my writing. You might really enjoy writing, so why would you really offload it onto that? And so I have to be careful. How much do I offload my writing onto artificial intelligence? So that part of my brain that is responsible for that, I could almost stop using it. I want to do that. I actually should be able to, write and think critically in that sense. For some people, it's about, I don't know, generating graphics because they hate to draw. I don't know, something like that. Well, don't stop drawing just because AI can really do that for you, but use it as a tool, like
As
you
a
said.
tool, I will write something and then I'll put the whole thing into AI. I say, okay, make this smoother for a principal. I want to send this idea to a principal. So put it in a language and a style that principal will understand. And then it'll give me something and I'll look at it. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's too canned.
Mhm.
So I'll take it and I'll put some of my own
Yeah.
wording into it. I'll
Yeah.
change a few things. That's using it as a tool. It's not replacing my
Mhm.
brain.
Mhm.
It's a huge time saver.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I
yes.
explained this to my friend who she was like, "Give me the quick and dirty on AI. I want to start using it. I don't have time. Like, give me the quick and dirty." I was like, "All right." Imagine that you are the cartoonish, almost 50s businessman, like
Yes.
Mad Men style,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like that. A lot of them did not do a lot of their menial tasks. They had a secretary.
Indeed.
And so they would, I'm gonna make up a name, Dorothy. If you're Dorothy, I apologize. This is nothing against Dorothy. They would come to Dorothy and say, Dorothy, I have this meeting. We need this message to go out, and also I want a black coffee with 2 sugars. And Dorothy would do that for you.
Oh.
And then she would bring you the letter, and you'd be like, Dorothy, this is not how it should sound. Just do it again. And Dorothy would do it again. In her beautiful 50s dress, and
her heels that are this
and her
high.
heels,
They're
absolutely.
stocking
And she hates
nylons.
you a little bit, but that's besides the point.
That's my job.
but treat that AI as that. Do not be like there have been people who had this type of help for decades. Now it's more equal. Now we all have it. But we also would look at that type of businessman, manager, boss, whatever, and we would kind of scoff at like that person doesn't even know how to write their own correspondence, but they're the boss, so whatever. We don't want to be that kind of boss. We want to still have the ability to write our own correspondence, but it's also nice to have a Dorothy.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and
So-
I use my Dorothy. I call her Doris. I use her all the time.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anezka, I really want to have a forum.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that.
I want to have a forum because we must get this message out to the masses.
Right.
Not necessarily the mass. Yes, to the
Sure.
masses.
To the masses.
That AI can be your friend.
Yeah.
It can be an equalizer in
An
so
assistant.
many areas.
I would be very of the word friend, mostly for younger audience.
Yes, yes.
Because there is I think the adults in a room are able to discern that a work friend is something else than your friend. And we do have an issue right now where young people do confine, well, let's say lonely people do confine in artificial intelligence because it is so good at mimicking.
Indeed, it becomes a companion, and people form these relationships. I've seen a couple of podcasts about it, and it's kind of frightening. AI cannot be your friend. It is your Doris,
It is, and there's
your
nothing
assistant,
wrong-
personal assistant.
Yes, it is nothing wrong to using that tool, but know what you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Have the knowledge of how it works and why it's giving you the answers that it does. And there's nothing wrong at laughing at a joke that was generated by generative AI, but know that that's what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you should know that the report, that the suggestion on where to, I don't know, spend your budget, if it comes from AI, just know how it got to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Understand it, have a conceptual understanding of the algorithms and just the basics. And actually, AI can help you understand it.
I love it. This has been one of the best hours that I've had. Thank you so much. No. It just flew by.
Okay.
And I'm sure the people looking at this podcast will want to recommend it to other people, will like and subscribe to my podcast as I grow it and have more guests like Anezka. And you can follow me. I will be hosting some of these AI events because it's just necessary.
Yeah, sure.
For a human-centered system, creating more human-centered systems where people are talking face to face, they're communicating, they're sharing, they're learning the unspoken languages that you just don't get through a text, through an email, even through a telephone conversation. You need that eye to eye. So, I have a new outro. Thanks for listening and thanks for viewing. If this story spoke to your soul, visit marvinetapenconsulting.com to take the next step through a workshop, a retreat, or a one-on-one coaching session. And tune in next time for an all new All Stories Matter. Thank you so very much, Anezka.
Thank you for having me.
It was wonderful. More very soon. And remember, listen to somebody's story. Get to know your own story because all stories matter. Bye-bye.
Bye.